And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. For those of you out there who stuck through this, I just had a little bit of internet troubles on my side, but sorry about that. But I got a I got a couple things to talk about, and I wanted to not make a video tonight. It was getting kind of late, but I said, you know what? I need to make a video just talking about this new classic collection box. And the reason why is because if you guys didn't get a chance to watch my last live, I had Basic Trainer on, and during that live, me and Basic Trainer, we had just real early got that news about this new set, and honestly, we weren't exactly sure like what it was. We weren't even really sure if it was like the new 151 set, what it was. So, come to find out, it's something totally different. And now I have a little bit of information. I do want to talk about it because it's fascinating, because what I want to know more than anything else is this hobby mature enough to accept this set? And what I mean by that is right now it looks like price points for this are going to be pretty high. And pretty high price points, I think everybody has like, what's the first thing you think everybody thinks about? They look at what's in it. They're like, okay, you got a Charizard, you got a Blastoise, you got a Venusaur. Yeah, there's the Mewtwo's in there, the Chansey's in there, and then you have some of the new X cards. I think everybody's just like, oh, this set's going to print instantly. But I'm nervous about that, and I'm really cautious on this set. And what I need to know more than anything else is how much is it going to cost for the English. So right now for the Japanese version, they're saying it's going to be, with exchange rates and everything, let's just say between 250 and 275. And I'm looking at other, ultra premium collections like the Charizards, and I'm saying, okay, how did the Charizard UPC do? I'm looking at the prices for those cards. Then I look at like the last reprint of Charizard, and I look at Celebrations. I say, okay, Celebrations Charizard's floating around $200. The Blastoise is right around 80 to 100, and same thing with the Venusaur. So sure, in a perfect world, if you hit 10s on all these, you're probably still going to be able to print and make money. But at $250, you think about like the Charizard UPC, that's a $120 product. You get 16 packs with it. And those Charizards, if you hit 9s, you might lose money. So when you start to think about, okay, like the Japanese product, probably going to have pretty sick print quality. All those are probably going to hit 10s if it's like any of the other Japanese products we've seen. I see no reason why it to be different. Now, the difference being the English product, English print quality, you never know what you're going to get. We might get Celebrations S-type print quality where everything is just jacked. Centering is terrible, corners, edges, and, you're going to be lucky to hit 110. And then really for a product like that, if the Charizard doesn't hit the 10, it's really going to hurt everything else, because most likely, even if your Blastoids are selling for 100 and the Venusaur is selling for 100 and you hit with that, 9 on your Charizard, like, there might still be money. But this is the thing. I just don't know how the market could react to mass produce like promos like this, because even with Celebrations, the Charizard still has a little bit of a pull rate to it, meaning you can't just open up one single Celebrations product and guarantee the Charizard. It's the same thing with the Blastoise and the Venusaur. Now this product is changing all that. It's guaranteeing those to everybody. So I'm interested to see where the English price point is, because if the English price point is pretty low, let's say it's substantially less than the Japanese version, which I don't think it will. I'm expecting it to be right around $250. But if we do see like our Charizard UPC price level, $120, yeah, people are just going to buy this, and it will never be a sale product play at the beginning. It will always be a first to market type thing. I just don't know how the market can handle stuff like this. I just don't know, because I look at all these other Charizard promos, and I'm looking at like, super cheap, super mass reduced promos. You got like, and recent promos, Charizard Hidden Fates tin promo, or the Charizard Cracked Ice Hollow from the Vivid Voltage theme deck. The huge caveat for that is that Hidden Fates tin is $19.99 MSRP. That Vivid Voltage starter deck with the Cracked Ice Charizard is $12.99 on Pokemon, and they're available forever. So the price points are just so drastic on products like that, where now we're going to start to really see like potentially a super premium English product like, Charizard UPC 120. We're talking $250. I'm just curious how the market handles stuff like this. It will be, yeah, like I just said, I don't understand. I'm just not sure how mature the market is like with a product like this. It could just be the other effect. You know, that card could instantly sell for greater than the Charizard UPC or all the Charizard UPC promos. It can sell for greater than the Celebrations Charizard and the Celebration Venusaur and the Celebration Blastoids just because it does have that like a little bit higher of a price tag. I can tell you, the hobby as a whole is so. We always talk about it. The hobby is just so strong; it could just absorb everything. And a product like this, I have the feeling it will probably be able to absorb a lot of it. But then it's going to come down to the same thing that the Charizard UPC came down to. The Charizard UPC, the one factor that determined that product more than anything else is simple: supply versus demand. Pokemon just got it right, and they were able to print the crap out of Charizard UPCs, and were able to do something a lot of people questioned if Pokemon could actually do it. Print enough supply to actually meet demand. And they did that with that product. Can they do it with this product? And I'm leaning towards yes, and I'm leaning towards Pokemon is probably doing these more like cash grabby type products, like high dollar amount profit margins for product like this must be just off the chain. I don't even know what profit margins on these are like, but they got to be absolutely insane. And then yeah, you have like these, Battle Academy sets and stuff, but those are $20, $20 to $30, and you get 3 promos, and yeah, it's going to be like the Raichu and the Charizard and stuff, and they're not going to be like, you know, super sought after. It doesn't have a premium feel to it, where this product definitely has a premium feel to it. But then I get nervous with the market of how much of these reprints can the current hobby like continue to absorb. And the reason why is because if really you don't care about like the original artwork, so you don't care about your truly first edition, your shadowless, your unlimited, and you don't really care, you're not you could just pick up whatever. You have so many options out there. Whether even if you want to go on maybe a little bit more of a high end, I hate to say it, on a more of a high end, you go to like the base set 2 Charizard, or the reverse hollow from Legendary Collection, or the regular hollow, or the non hollow from the Lava Theme deck and stuff like this. Or then you go on like the super cheap end of that spectrum and still get that hollow in a raw, from Evolutions, or in the reverse hollow from Evolutions, or you can still pick it up from Celebrations. There's so many options for this card in such a very small window of time. Evolutions to today is only 6 years, 2016 to today. That's not a huge gap in time. There's just so many of these cards out there. I don't know. I don't know if the hobby could absorb them. But I'll tell you what I'll be doing right away is I'm just going to be looking at supply. I think that's going to be the biggest indicator, and I have no way to know what that supply is going to look like. And the second thing is how much is that product going to cost on the English side? Is it going to be the equivalent of what we're seeing in in the Japanese market for, like I said, between $250 and $275? Is that going to be a $250, $270 product here in English? Because if it is, you're already going to start to push away a huge area of the buyer pool. Because I think this is the big caveat everyone has to really understand right now, is for you listening to this video, you are probably super familiar with grading. Even if you have never graded a card, you're probably doing one or two things. One, you're in the process of getting your first graded card submission together. You've already sent your first submission to PSA. You haven't got it back. Or the third thing is you're extremely familiar with what grading is. The problem is we do get caught in our bubble sometimes, and we don't realize that there are so many people out there that don't even grade cards to begin with. So if they're not grading cards to begin with, this set is going to be like, it's not going to do much for them for a long time, especially if supply is heavy, because there will be no option for them to cannibalize that product down and sell those promos and make a little bit of money. What they're going to do is they're going to probably pick up that product and sit on it, very similar to all the people that picked up Charizard UPCs right at release and kind of just sat on them and waited and wasn't really sure what they were going to do. And that's a product that they're still down in their investment today. Now, fast forward 2 years, 3 years from now, when those things are finally not available on shelves, I do personally think they're going to go up. I think those Charizard UPCs have great value, but that's Not today, and that's the huge caveat. If you want your Charizard UPC to go up in value, I'm just telling you right now, it cannot be available at distribution, and it definitely can't be available sitting on your Target and Walmart shelves. Not in the short term. In the long term, that thing could do great. And the problem is with that, the specialty classic collection boxes, how are they going to sell this thing? Is this going to be a product that gets, pushed out to big box retail? I don't know. I just don't think the average person walking into your Walmarts or your Target is going to pick up this super premium product that, even if they are players in the game, they're not standard. They're not legal for tournament play. They're strictly just like a board game type feel to them. You can only play like 1v1. You literally have to like have your friend in front of you. I don't know. I think it's going to change the buyer pool right now. And yeah, if you can make money in tens, I think that demand will be able to keep these products up. But for the average person, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to get there. At least for like the Charizard UPC at $120, I can see how that's an average person play. They get their 3 Charizard promos. I don't care if they're graded or not. And then they get their 16 packs. And those 16 packs have your Evolving Skies and everything. And yeah, I can definitely see how the average person could maybe spend the extra couple bucks in order to get that product. I could easily see that. And they probably get super excited about the play mat and the damage counters and that metal dice, and that Charizard coin is cool. It's still a metal coin. I can see how people could be excited about this. This classic set, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling on what it's going to do. I just think people are on two sides of the fence. Just the one people are just like, yeah, there's no way that this thing is going to lose. And then I think there's the other people that are kind of just sitting back and saying, I'm going to kind of wait and, kind of wait this one out and just see how it does. And I'm definitely on that side of the coin where I'm just going to kind of sit back and wait and see how it plays out. I think it's a little too early right now. So I'm definitely not going to be stonking on these things. But that's all I want to do. I want to make this a short video because I really want to try to get this topic off my brain, because I'm just struggling back and forth with it for a while, just trying to figure out like, what is this thing going to do? So I'm going to go hop in the chat right now, see if anybody put any questions or anything. MMK86 says, the trading card game classic makes Pokemon look lazy as fucking greedy in his opinion. It is a little lazy. I could definitely see how it looks lazy. And yeah, the dollar value, the price point is that, yeah, I could definitely see how like it could be looked at as greedy. After classics, their recent celebrations 26. Well, that's the thing too. Maybe not celebrations 26, but we definitely have the 151 set, and there's going to be so much demand for that this product might actually just float under the radar, because people are just going to be so tired out by the 151 set. But again, that's really going to be so dependent on how good that 151 set is, and it's still too early. But just being the original 151 Pokemon, from Bulbasaur all the way to Mew, I could just see people wanting that too. It's just, we live in such a crazy time in Pokemon where we don't know what Pokemon's doing. We don't know what they're printing either. And I think that's the trouble too. When you look at like super modern stuff and it comes to how much of this stuff are they going to print, if you told me that, the only things that are going to be on the shelves were going to be Charizard UPCs, but you weren't going to be able to find booster boxes at distribution of literally any set. If you told me that, I would have said, that's probably a pretty unlikely situation. Or if you told me in March of 2023, you would have people breaking down and cannibalizing products. I just saw on Instagram the other day, or maybe it was today or yesterday, TCA Gaming was cannibalizing down his Juniper Premium Collection boxes just in order to get packs. Listen, if you told me this was going to happen still, I probably wouldn't have believed you. And there was a lot of people out there would have said the same thing, especially when they were talking about that tweet. Everybody lived by that tweet that Pokemon put out, that they were printing to max capabilities and they understood product was scarce and all this. It doesn't appear. I don't see it. Like, I'm definitely seeing some products on the shelves, but it's the very mediocre products. It's the stuff people don't really want. And really, it's only whatever that super most modern set is, meaning anything that's even slightly old is getting eaten up for the most part. So, uh, Chiptune TCG says he thinks Pokemon is getting greedy. Yeah. Well, I'm seeing a lot of people saying potentially greedy. Uh, let's see. Uh, Roxandy said PK Celebrations UPC is going to have a similar uproar in his opinions. I think what happened with Celebrations UPC was just Celebrations UPC had the one thing going for it. It just had lack of supply. Lack of supply is simple. If demand is greater than supply, you're going to see crazy prices, and that's simply what happened. And even same thing with Evolutions. Even when you look at how much Evolutions was, or excuse me, not, well, Evolutions, but Evolving Skies too. You look at how much Evolving Skies was printed. You look at the demand for Evolving Skies. Even with another reprint, it was just not enough. You need such a large amount of this product to really start killing these prices. Why that hasn't happened yet, I'm not sure. Let's see. Cozy says Chinese cards are great. He started collecting them recently. Same quality as Japanese, but half the price. Yeah, I've been dipping my toes a little bit in Chinese cards. I think it's just being such an interesting market, especially how many cards that I'm currently sending to like Chinese buyers. You know, it's obviously all going through the eBay global shipping program and stuff like this, but I am seeing a lot of cards moving to China. So that could be an early market, you know. It really brings up the question of like some of the real early base set like Chinese hollows and stuff, you know, from like 99. If people are going to want those, they're definitely a lot rarer than people might think they are. And then there's definitely like the one person out there, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking of, who bought up a lot of those. Brick Zian Block says, "What's up? Good to see you, man." Yeah, let's see. Yeah, people are saying when you're just printing paper, profit margins are going to be big. Yeah. Let's see. Cyril Lewis says, need a Neo Lugia Classic collection. Yeah, it's funny that they just keep going back to base set, right? And why don't you just kind of spread out a little bit? And there's a lot of firsts in this hobby. You could do pretty much any of the firsts. Yes, base set is the first set. Jungle is the first set that had non-hollow rares. Team Rocket was the first set that had a secret rare. Legendary Collection was the first set. Oh, then you could go before Legendary Collection, just say, yeah, Neo was the first set that first appearance of Lugia, Typhlosion. Legendary Collection, first reverses. Expedition, first e-reader cards. Aquapolis, first crystal card. Ruby Sapphire, first EX card. Team Rocket, first gold star. Diamond and Pearl, first level X's. Platinums, you got your first, reprints of base set as, the hollow forms as your secret rares. And then, Heart Gold Soul Silver, you have your first ever primes. And then, Heart Gold Soul Silver has the first ever, of these. I'm not supposed to show cards anymore on my stream, but, legendary cards like that. Or Black and White had the first ever full arts. There's so many first in Pokemon that why they have to keep going back to base set just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, so there's another thing too. I did say I wasn't going to show cards anymore on my stream. There's a lot of people in my last video commented that I'm just to show cards, so I don't know. Maybe I'll start showing cards. I don't know. Some people just really don't want me showing cards, and I'm just going to have to put it out there. For whoever is saying for me not to show cards, just do me a favor. Just stop watching these videos, okay? If you don't want me showing cards, stop watching a Pokemon channel about Pokemon cards. People are saying buy the card, not the grade. Herman Jose Santos says, PK, do you think we could get base set Raichu in this. That's all he cares about. I like that. Uh, People are saying whatnot streamers are ruining Pokemon. You can make the argument that some whatnot streamers are getting some new collectors into Pokemon for the first time. But I think some whatnot streamers are potentially like abusing new collectors, but definitely not everybody. There are definitely some good whatnot streamers out there. I could think of two off the top of my head: Old Card Shop and Joe Echo Base Collectibles. Uh, so Das Porter says, "Sorry, I just joined in this. Are you upset with this? Evolutions and celebrations now this. What the hell? How many times will they release B set Charizard LOL? And what Cool Trainer Ryan thinks LOL? I'm telling you what I think. I'm fascinated to watch how this plays out. I just don't know if the market could continue to absorb this stuff, and especially at these high dollar amounts. I mean, we say that all the time, and I think Jake from Pokenomics brings up this great point all the time. He always says, like, in most hobbies, the reprints don't hold much value in comparison to the original ones. There's a lot, and he talks about it all the time. I think the exact examples he uses, like, I'm probably butchering his words a little bit, but he talks about a lot of, like, reprints in the 1980s of first editions of certain comics. Like, there was reprints in the 80s of X-Men #1, reprints of Superman #1, reprints of Batman #1, reprints of what else is, just like a Spider-Man #1. All these had like first reprints in the 1980s, but that's all they were. They were reprints, and they were very clearly different than the first ones, but yet they were still the same cover art, the same, panels inside the comic and stuff like that. And a lot of those comics are worth absolutely nothing today. And, if something came out in the 80s, that's 30 plus years ago at this point. So even with a huge timeline, and comic books have done really well, and with 30 years of time given, those reprints of these famous, like, first edition comics are worth absolutely nothing. But when you look at reprints in Pokemon, for whatever reason, this hobby kind of bucks that trend a little bit. And when I say the Pokemon bucks the trend is anytime Pokemon reprint stuff, sure, maybe, a classic collection or Celebrations Charizard isn't as much as a first edition Shadowless Charizard. But still, when you look at what that card's worth in comparison to a large majority of all the cards that exist in this hobby, any card to be worth greater than $100 puts it into a very small percentage of this hobby. And then especially when you look at that Charizard to be the most expensive card in that entire set, which in Celebrations, that Charizard is the most expensive card. Or when you look at the previous reprint and you look at that card in Evolutions, that Charizard is the most expensive card, especially in a 10. That's a grading issue. That's a little bit different. But then you go back and you look at Stormfront. That secret rare Charizard, which is the reimagined Arita artwork, is still the most expensive card in that set. And rewind earlier to Legendary Collection, the Reverse Holo and the Holo are the two most expensive cards in that set. Base set 2, the Charizard's the most expensive card in the set. Like, anytime that Charizard exists, it becomes the most expensive card. That's why it bucks this trend of reprints not really being worth stuff. And even with time passes, trust me, Diamond and Pearl Stormfront, there's been a decent amount of time in between from that reprint coming out to today, and it's still holding a crazy premium. And especially like the base set 2 Charizard. Nobody wants base set 2. Nobody wanted base set 2. Some people like the holo pattern better. I'm an OG, baby. I could take it or leave it with the base set 2 holo pattern. But still, there's a lot of people still want that, and there's plenty of time, between base set 2 and today. It just, the demand for whatever reason is still there in Pokemon, which is not really there for other, like, collectible categories when you talk about reprints. And I'm sure there are some examples of that, but so Young Player Maker said, PK, last time Pokemon said they were max printing was around Vivid Voltage, Shining Fates, Darkness Ablaze. All those got printed to hell. Do you really think this is different? I think it's different because of, if products are getting printed to hell right now, the market's not really affecting that right now. Where at least when we had those big reprints of Vivid Voltage and Shining Fates and Darkness Ablaze and, your Battle Styles and your Fusion Strike, and then that very last wave of even Evolving Skies dropped a little bit during that time. but I'm just not seeing it right now. So I don't know what Pokemon's printing. And if they are just going really hard into Scarlet and Violet, crazy amounts of Scarlet and Violet, meaning they're just going to flood the market. I've talked to people now with distribution agreements, and they're telling me that their pre-order allocations of Scarlet and Violet are less than they were for Silver Tempest. That doesn't make any sense because we have a huge window of time that stuff needs to get printed. I have no clue what's getting printed. I have my theories, but we'll see. And the reason why I have my theories is because we're not really seeing anything hit the market right now. We speculated. We saw 3 days worth of Evolving Skies booster boxes hit the Pokemon Center. They literally hit from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. They were literally up for a 30-minute window for 3 days in a row. Is that the reprint? Is that it? Was that the Evolving Skies reprint? I hope not. I hope that wasn't like, well, okay, two things. One, I hope not, meaning that booster box would just continue to carry away in price if that was. But I do kind of hope that that was the case, because if the market is truly that strong and really the demand is truly that strong, that they could eat up an entire reprint of a set in a matter of an hour and a half spread out between 3 days. That's a crazy market. Insane. I don't think that's the case, though. And the reason why I don't think that is because I was able to get that Pokemon restock of Evolving Skies. I picked up a case, and it shipped out like the next day. So if that was really like a massive reprint and there was a ton of booster boxes, I don't think my package would have been able to ship out in just 1 day's handling time. Again, this could all be just like semantics, though, at the end of the day. Young player said, took a while after announcement, but they did print Overdrive. Not that much. Did they just start printing and then they stopped? You would have thought that, in theory, if the printing Overdrive just continued and it never stopped, it never slowed down, you would have assumed that, okay, Pokemon dumped all this product at one time, and then the market would have taken a while to eat it up. And we saw that happen with Chill and Rain. Chill and Rain is a perfect example. Ton of supply. It took months for the hobby as a whole to eat up all that Chill and Rain that was readily available on the market, especially at super low prices. People trying to flash sale that, people that were probably maybe a little over in their head, maybe, they were, financially stretched, so those prices were a little bit lower. It took a couple months for the market to eat that up, but eventually it did. And I just don't think that that could have happened at the rate it did happen if the market just continued to stay super saturated with all this product. The only thing is it just didn't stay super saturated. So even though, yes, we did see that big pump or big dump of product, like Young Playmaker said, we didn't see the continued dump or the continued release of products. Or we are continuing to see that release, but for whatever reason, this hobby is just so drastically more massive than maybe you or I might think, and that just demand is eating up this stuff as fast as it could hit the market. But it goes back to that thing that we always ponder at, is that buyer's fatigue. Can Pokemon ever experience buyer's fatigue? And right now, I would say the market's not showing that, and especially as recently as the most recent set of Crown Zenith. The hype and the demand that surrounded Crown Zenith. Now, don't get me wrong. Crown Zenith is one of the best sets we've ever seen, and we say it about everything. Best set we've ever seen. Crown Zenith definitely is up there as one of the best sets ever. So, demand was able to eat up all that. But the problem is it's not even available at distribution right now. Meaning, if people do want to go and pick up more cases because they're like, okay, I picked up a couple cases and I'm already sold out. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the most recent eBay Live on Pokemon Day, but Football Pete, somebody I mentioned on this channel in the past, he did the first ever eBay Live. And during that eBay Live, I think he was maybe a little like not used to talking behind the camera, but there was definitely a lot of like insight that he was able to say in a very short amount of time when he was talking about, a lot of these products, how much he got at the beginning. He got big waves of a lot of this stuff, but then he also said, I can't get any more of this stuff at distribution. And somebody like him that's acquiring just pallets upon pallets upon pallets of stuff, if even he is more or less cut off and supply is running dry for a huge account like him, it's questionable. And he even talks about, and then he talks about like a few of the products. Like he's picking up anything they could give him. I think one of the products he showed was like Brilliant Stars single pack blisters and stuff. And I think he had like a very late wave of, no, sorry, not Evolving Skies blisters. It was Brilliant Stars blisters, and then like a super late wave of a couple Brilliant Stars booster boxes, and that's why he was able to, or Brilliant Stars ETBs, and he was able to get his Brilliant Stars ETBs down to $32 because Pokemon was trying to offload some stuff to him for product like that. But then he also mentioned Silver Tempest booster boxes, that he only got one wave of Silver Tempest booster boxes. One wave. That is literally like the most current, modern standard set. And he's only had one wave. It's just, things aren't adding up right now. And if for anybody out there who thinks things are adding up, they're just not in my opinion. People are talking about Mason. I wish, honestly, I would like Mason to just talk about some of this stuff more often. I think Mason talks about a lot of this stuff on his lives, but yeah, Fresh Tat saying PK show us the goods. Yeah. People were getting upset, man. I got a lot of people who were just like, oh, PK showing off cards and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't win. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to mention anymore. I'm just going to start showing cards. And if that's not for people, man, I think there's a lot of people just going to have hard reality checks that maybe this just isn't the channel for them. But if it is the channel for you, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. People are saying Pokemon Go is lit. Yeah. Pokemon Go was as stinker of a set, like pre-release as anything. It had nothing. The problem that Pokemon Go had was it was 6 years too late. Pokemon Go should have released in 2016. It would have been an amazing set, especially with like that Mewtwo alternative artwork and stuff. And then at least have some of the stuff in Pokemon Go when you open it up be easily transferable into the actual Pokemon Go app for your phone. Yeah, there was like a couple QR codes and you can scan, but there wasn't anything like of real like substance where, when you open up your Pokemon Go pack, instead of a code card maybe for another Pokemon Go pack, you might have, stuff you can use at Pokestops, or, things that you can download in games, or maybe you could get lucky and pull like, a rare shining by scanning in that code card, stuff like that. And none of that existed. There was just so much potential for what Pokemon Go could have been, and it just never really worked out the way I think a lot of people had envisioned in, a best case scenario. And then the problem is when you look at Pokemon Go and you break it down and you pull out that Mewtwo from that set, there's not much substance to that set as a whole. It gives you like very similar to the same way a lot of people feel about Champion's Path. The only thing that Champion's Path had going for it more than anything else was it had the 2 Charizards, and more importantly than anything else, for that Charizard ETB, it also had that Charizard V Full Art promo. So minus those 3 Charizards, Champion's Path has nothing going for it, and it has that same feeling as Pokemon Go. Now, how does Pokemon Go do in the long term? Hell if I know. But right now, like, that's going to be dead money for a decent amount of time. And if you did pick up a lot of Pokemon Go at release, your money's probably been dead now for a pretty substantial amount of time, especially if at release, say you picked up like a couple cases of ETBs or something like that, trying to speculate. Only thing I speculated on a little bit, which I don't even call it speculating, is I picked up my one set of Pokemon Go, Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, but I do that with every set, so it's hard to say. Let's see. So Rav Deep said, what if this is the printing strategy going forward? Rav, I will tell you. We do one of two things. One, we don't give Pokemon enough credit, or sometimes we give them too much credit. But I will tell you, I will entertain that comment of yours, and I'll read it again for everybody. He says, what if this is the printing strategy going forward? So the printing strategy would just be low prints, no multiple waves of stuff. You will have a strong hobby for a long time, and you'll have people really, really start to speculate super hard on Modern. And then if that happens, and Pokemon is truly keeping print numbers down artificially, meaning they know for a fact that they could print Evolving Skies and sell a ton of this. They know for a fact if they reprint Brilliant Stars, they're going to probably be able to liquidate through a ton of booster boxes in a relatively short amount of time. Assuming they know all this information and they're still deciding not to do it for whatever reason, then there will be a lot of people who will start to heavily speculate on Modern. And now this is where the most dangerous aspect of all this is going to come. If people start to realize that set after set after set, they are not reprinted, all this stuff is being short printed for whatever reason, that Pokemon is just doing like ultimate market manipulation and keeping prices artificially high by low supply. If it ever happens where Pokemon does open the floodgates on a product, there will be so many people will get so burned if that happens. That's why we always say, like, just like go with caution. Be very nervous. Let's see. Michael Marsh says, "What is your sleeper set to collect in Sword and Shield?" He said, "I'd say Astral Radiance and Chill and Rain. Astral because still cheap and insane pull rates, and Chill and Rain has some of the best alt arts in Sword and Shield." Chill and Rain was my sleeper kind of at $80, $90 because I still thought it was a good set. Honestly, Brilliant Stars is already expensive. Evolving Skies is already expensive, so I wouldn't say anybody's really sleeping on those two sets. The only other set I feel like people are maybe sleeping on a little bit is Lost Origins, because, Lost Origin at least has amazing character rare subset cards, and Lost Origins has arguably one of the best, if not the best, character rare subset. And then maybe even people are sleeping a little bit on Silver Tempest too. Just pretty much this entire end of the Sword and Shield block I feel is being slept on a little bit. So I would say that those. Drew said, "Don't forget to hit that like button." Appreciate you, Drew. Adrian Hernandez says he was at Target when they restocked, and within minutes the whole stock was gone. There was a line before the guy could even finish stocking. They put up about 40 Crown Zenith ETBs. Wow. So they restocked about 4 cases of Crown Zenith ETBs, and they were all eaten up in 20 minutes. That's crazy. Like, I don't think people realize that. I think for people that are maybe a little bit newer to this hobby, they only know this hobby from like 2020 onwards. So they only know Pokemon as being something that's in demand. But remove yourself pre-2020, shit like that didn't happen. Like, with the exception of maybe Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates was definitely in demand. So that was probably the first ever product that was super in demand. So I will say that with a little bit of a caveat, pre-2020. Hidden Fates was still tough to find. And especially with, like, wave 1 of Hidden Fates, it was super in demand. But then rewind a little bit earlier than that, look at like Shine and Legends and stuff like that. Shine and Legends was sitting on the shelves of every single Walmart and Target throughout the country. Nobody wanted to pick up Shine and Legends. So it's just so weird that this is still happening today. And especially after Pokemon acquiring millennial print groups and stuff, you think the printers would just be going on absolute burr mode right now. And they're not. Now, why do we talk about it? Because I find this fascinating. So I see Professor Oak in the chat. I know a lot of those guys were at the Collecticon in Orlando. It looked like they had a lot of fun. I saw one of the Spicy Boy videos. It looked pretty good. Let's see. So Brad Triplett said, "Question PK, which CDC serial numbers are worth resubmitting the get graded bump?" Probably like starting 3.7s and lower would be where I'm at. So I guess people are saying I'm lagging a little bit, but that's good. I want to have a short video. I want to just talk about this Pokemon Classic box set because it's still super early. We have a long time to figure out what's going to happen. Like I said, one, how readily available are these going to be? How much are people going to stock out on the Japanese ones? Are the Japanese print quality what we expect? Are the English print quality going to be absolute garbage? And then how are these sold? Are they Pokemon Center exclusive products only, or only available at LGSs because of that premium price tag of $250 or $275? Or does Pokemon just say, we are so confident these things are going to sell that you actually see them on your Targets or your Game Shops or GameStops or Walmart shelves. If that happens, forget about it. Throw it out the window. It's just going to be a wild time. But yeah, guys, appreciate you. Appreciate every single one of you guys. With that said, I'll catch you all in the next video.